Like our recording has started, and I'm gonna turn that part off. All right, and then let me know when you can see my screen.
Great. So as I mentioned, I'm Bronte Nevins, and I'm really excited to present our data collection plan to you all. So next slide, Juliana. So to start off, we wanted to give an overview of the approach that we took to create this plan. So what we started out by doing was a really thorough literature review to see all the existing studies and evals of similar wraparound supportive services in the affordable housing context, and to really identify what the research gaps are. And from there, we identified some research questions that we'll share with you. And then we took a round of drafting our instruments. And when we were drafting those, we really thoroughly reviewed all of your grant application materials. Okay. And we also met with you, as you'll remember, one-on-one to kind of get feedback, particularly on those quant options. And then from there, we synthesized all that feedback and we edited and refined the instruments to create more final versions. And then we had an independent review team look at those instruments and make some changes. And now we're going through an IRB and OMB review process. So as you can see, there's been a lot of work put into this, and we've really tried to create something that will provide a lot of good information about the value that your programs are bringing. Next slide, please. So we have three big categories of research questions for this program. So the first one is around implementation. So our primary questions there are what strategies were used to expand, strengthen, or introduce nurse services, and what barriers were faced in implementing these services. The second big category is about access to services. So was there measurable change in the use of services by residents? And then the third category is around participant experiences and outcomes. So how did residents experience the strengthening of services? What benefits were experienced by both individuals and families? And were there improvements in mental health, social support, residents' feelings of safety, goal setting, parenting skills, housing stability, and/or economic mobility? So those are the big things that we're kind of looking at with this eval. Next slide, please. Okay, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Hale.
Thank you, Bronte. So now I'm going to provide an overview of our planned data collection activities. And as Bronte mentioned, we've really developed this plan to allow us to provide a really robust report to Congress on the implementation and the outcomes of this program. And then we at the program office will also use the information that we learn from these data to better support your program over the course of the grant lifecycle. So now I'm going to start with a very brief overview of our planned data collection activities, but I'll provide more detail on each of these in the following slides. So today we're going to discuss three primary data collection activities. First, we're going to discuss our direct reporting from grant recipients. So that's going to include a quarterly narrative PPR and a semi-annual report with a quantitative summary of your activities. Second, we'll discuss our staff level data collection. So that's going to include interviews with key program staff who are involved with your project. And then third, we'll discuss our resident level data collection activities. So that's going to include a short service receipt questionnaire, a self-sufficiency matrix, and focus groups at some sites. Next slide, please. Okay, so now we're going to turn to describing each of these elements in more detail. So for the grant recipient direct reporting, you're going to complete two types of reports to provide information about your project activities. And you're going to provide these reports on a regular basis. So I want to note here that these regular updates are really valuable to your program specialist and to the program office in tracking the progress that you're making. And we use that information as we go through the grant to better support you and provide technical assistance to you. Now, these reports will also help the evaluation team to accurately document your activities. So we really appreciate your attention to detail in these reports so that we can better support you and more accurately write our reports. So the first type of report that you're going to complete is the progress performance report, or PPR. So this is a narrative report, and you're going to complete it on a quarterly basis. And in this report, you're going to describe things like your activities for that quarter, any changes you're making to your project plan, any challenges you're encountering, and other indicators of project progress. The second type of report that you're going to submit is a semi-annual report. You'll submit this about every 6 months. In this report, we worked really hard to tailor this to your projects. So after conducting our interviews with you, looking at the indicators that you proposed in your applications, looking at the CSBG reporting framework that we know that your systems are capable of reporting to, we developed indicators that really capture all of the work that you're doing. So this report has two components. It's got a mandatory form that all grant recipients must complete. There's also an optional form that you can choose to complete. So that mandatory form is going to ask you to report on your service delivery activities. So, we're interested in learning the number of people that your services are reaching, how they're receiving those services. We're also interested in learning about the referrals that they're getting by referral type. We're interested in learning about your housing community characteristics, your partnerships, and your client demographics. And then all of these data that you're reporting are aggregated at the grant recipient level. So we're not asking for individual level information here. We've also developed an optional form, and we did that to give grant recipients the opportunity to report on service delivery and outcome data that aren't well captured by the other instruments. So here, we're really just giving you the opportunity to demonstrate your project's achievements if you're not able to demonstrate those in other places. Next slide, please. Okay, so turning to program staff data collection, we are going to conduct interviews with your program staff, and that will include project directors and then staff members who are involved with working directly with residents. So case managers, coaches, service coordinators, and roles like that. And these interviews are going to allow us to explore your program's implementation in depth. So we'll ask you questions about what's happening on the ground. We'll ask you about your perspectives of what you think are important strategies or important outcomes for your programs. We expect these interviews to last between 60 to 90 minutes, and we'll work with you at a later date to coordinate these interviews and find times that are mutually agreeable. Next slide, please. All right, and then to wrap up, for the resident level data collection activities, we're planning focus groups with a few select sites. So we're seeking approval to offer incentives for these participants, and we expect these groups will last around 90 minutes. OCS staff will conduct the focus groups, but we'll need to work with your team to coordinate them. Then we will also use the Arizona Self-Sufficiency Matrix to observe changes in indicators related to self-sufficiency over the course of the program. So during our meetings with grant recipients, we discovered that many of you are already using this tool, and we really want to implement this data collection in the least burdensome way possible for grant recipients. So for those of you who are not already using the matrix, for those of you who are already using the matrix, you'll be able to roll up that data that you're already collecting for us. If you're not currently using the matrix, then OCS will work with you one-on-one to map a path forward for that. So a few other details about the self-sufficiency matrix. We're going to seek approval to offer incentives for residents completing this matrix each time they complete it, and we hope that this will facilitate data collection. It will also be conducted with clients who are receiving one-on-one intensive services only. So we're really just looking at the people who are getting that case management, who are getting that coaching, or that ongoing service coordination. Now, this caseworker or the service coordinator or the staff member who's working with that client, they're going to complete that matrix every 6 months. And then one other detail about these data is that they will also need to provide a unique identifier so that we can track changes in individuals over time without asking for identifying information about them, like names or social security numbers. And then finally, we have developed a very short service receipt questionnaire that can be administered alongside the matrix. We've designed that questionnaire to be as short as possible based on our feedback from you so that it can be administered alongside that matrix. So I'm going to turn it over to Juliana now, who's going to discuss data collection timeline and what you can expect next.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hale. This is a timeline that we have laid out that really covers all of the instruments that Jessica just went through and a few other key dates. So I want to mention we are going to share this presentation out with you all after this meeting. So you will have access to these timelines so you can start to plan accordingly and sort of build into your calendar when all these things are due. We know it might seem a little overwhelming right now, but we hope that as you start to see, there's only going to be a few times where there'll be a slightly higher reporting expectations, and otherwise it should be a pretty regular and hopefully manageable cadence. I highlighted down here in yellow anticipated PRA approval. So we are anticipating that we will get clearance to start collecting by March of this year, which is great news because we won't have to wait too long after this meeting. We'll be able to get started. Also down here, we have the initial report to Congress and our final report to Congress. So this really gives you the whole universe of, again, not just our instruments, but when we're going to be asking for information. So there won't be any surprises, and hopefully it will be a helpful guide to you all as we move through this process together. Okay, and then just a few more details on reporting. So, like we said, the preliminary report to Congress is going to be due at the end of September 2024. And what we're going to use for that preliminary report will include data from the first two narrative quarterly PPR reports, the first semi-annual report, baseline matrix and service receipt data, and information from your applications. So it's going to be really important that you all work to ensure those reports are complete so that we can really uplift and accurately show the great work that you are doing in your programs. And we'll continue to cover that and remind you of that throughout our work together. But just so you know, that's the information that we're going to draw from for that initial report to Congress. Then we will also have a final report that will include data from across all our collection activities and will be completed after the close of the program. And more details to come on that, but just so you know, that will be coming down the pike. And then lastly, OCS, we are really, again, invested in highlighting and uplifting the great work that you all are doing. And so we will likely develop other communications materials that highlight your achievements and accomplishments. We have been known to do things like spotlight videos. We have developed one-pagers, animated videos, things like that. And as hopefully you all have experienced at this point, we will develop those in partnership with you to ensure the information we're sharing is accurate and is useful to you all as well. Okay. So some support that's available to you. So as you all have experienced at this point, we are available for individual TA, and we're going to be continuing individual TA as we roll out this data collection plan. So we're going to be scheduling meetings, one-on-one meetings with everyone in the next month or so. But we will communicate with you around when we're going to do that. Just to really step through this plan on a one-on-one basis, make sure everybody is on the same page. There are no specific questions to your program, or if there are, we want to be able to address those. We're also going to be providing large group TA, and all large group TA that we are providing, like this one right now, we're recording and we're going to be posting on the Affordable Housing and Supportive Services website. And I'll drop a link in the chat after this to that website, specifically where we're going to be posting materials so that you don't have to dig through your email. It'll always be available to you there. And then we're also really open to possible TA topics from you all. So we're thinking we want to have some more targeted TA meetings around things, and some ideas that we have here around, self-sufficiency matrix administration. As Bronte and Jessica mentioned, many of you are already using the Arizona self-sufficiency matrix. So we want to create a space to have conversation around best practices for administering that. And then also thinking about the semi-annual report, potentially doing a TA on that as well. But if you have other ideas or other things that you are needing from us around TA that pop up for you, please do feel free to reach out to us to let us know. And we will definitely take your feedback to inform our plans for providing TA. Long and the short of it is we're here with you. We're your partners, and we are here to support you throughout this entire process. Okay, so what do you need to do now? So there's only a couple things that you need to do right now or post this meeting. So the biggest thing is to complete your first narrative PPR that will be due by the end of this month. And so, and then also is to speak with us about any questions or concerns that you might have. And like I said, we are going to be scheduling those one-on-one meetings, but feel free to follow up this meeting with any emails with specific questions or things like that, so we can have a running list for when we do end up scheduling those one-on-one meetings. And I'll get to the narrative PPR on the next slide. So what will you receive after this meeting? So like I said, we don't have clearance to start collecting these instruments until we're thinking March or so. So we're gonna, but we want to give you a chance to get prepared around collecting your preparing your PPR. So after this meeting, you're going to get a recording of this meeting, so you can watch this again for reference. You're also going to get this slide deck, so that you can reference it again moving forward. You're going to get the PPR guidance from OCS, so what specific questions we'd like you to answer, as well as the PPR OMB form where you're actually going to fill out and answer those questions. And then also we're going to be sending you written instructions and a slide deck on how to upload your PPR to Grant Solutions. So we also have some videos as well that we're going to be sharing with you about how to access Grant Solutions and how to do your first PPR. So that's what you're going to be getting from us after this meeting. And again, we'll also direct you to the website when we do post materials on the website. And then the last thing I'll say, we're at our question slide. So we are going to be also hosting a couple of office hours throughout this month, because for how to submit PPRs to Grant Solutions. So some of you may have used Grant Solutions before to upload PPRs, others, may not have. And so we just want to make sure that we create the time and the space and make ourselves available for any questions related to Grant Solutions, and also questions related to your first PPR, because we know that can be a little confusing and people might have questions. So those will be coming soon. All right, with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see you all again. And wonderful. So I think at this point, we're going to pause. And are there any questions from the group about what we just put forth? Oh, there are no questions. Is that true? We covered everything so clearly that you that you feel good about. So wow, fabulous.
I have a question. I'll go.
Oh, wonderful. Please,
Yay,
Heather.
no.
Yeah.
My name is Heather, and I'm with HACAP here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And I just wanted clarification if the data plan isn't until March, is that when our actual official data collection begins, or do we want to try and do some things now and to try and backdate it, or what's the plan on what we're doing kind of in the interim?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think we're in a little bit of a, and Bronte and Jessica, feel free to jump in here. So we're in a little bit of a holding pattern right now where we don't have our federal register notice posted yet for this collection. So we're not going to send you the instruments that we have developed until that is posted. Once that's posted, I think we'll be a little bit freer to share the instruments with you, at least in draft form, so that you can start to make plans to begin the collections, but we won't be able to actually accept the data from you until the OMB package is approved. And we're anticipating that won't happen until March, but that doesn't mean that once you receive the draft instruments from us, that you can't start, beginning your collections and planning for how you're going to share that information with us. I hope that answers your question. I know it's a little bit confusing. I wish that we had the FRN today so that we could just send you all the instruments and you could sort of start, but we're not quite there yet. We should be there very soon.
No, that definitely helps. It helps us plan on, right now we can maybe focus more on building relationships with the clients and not really focusing more on the specific tasks or plans for each individual one. And that was kind of my question on, where we should be right now and getting that ready. So, thank you very much.
Definitely. Elizabeth, I see you got your hand up.
Yes, so I wasn't sure if this one was program specific, so I apologize if it kind of is.
No, yeah.
But then for the kind of end of January deadline, so that is kind of going to be like baseline information, like this is like what we're already kind of doing, like that type of information that's in there, and then we're moving forward. It's going to be a little bit more strategic and targeted and that type of thing, because I am not sure. I'm kind of tagging along, with my counterparts on this, but I don't know if, like, for instance, we're the ones that use the matrix, right? So like we
Sure.
might need to have that
Yeah.
training piece. So how does it kind of all fall into line?
Totally. Yeah. So you're gonna get our PPR guidance like immediately after this meeting. So you're gonna see that the questions that we're interested in, for the first quarter, yeah, it's gonna be a little bit more low key. There's not a ton that we're asking for. And again, we know we're giving this to you a couple days into the month. The deadline is the end of January. If for some reason you're having a hard time meeting that deadline, please do reach out to us and let us know. We're happy to work with you, especially for this first one. We know it takes a minute to get into the rhythm of things, but yeah, this one is really, yeah, that initial sort of baseline gathering, and then things will sort of amp up a little bit as we go on. But again, you'll see the full universe of the PPR questions when you after this meeting. So you'll get to see what we're going to be asking per quarter.
Perfect. And then a quick follow-up to that too. It sounds like just some of the entities are doing focus groups. Not everyone is.
Yeah, so we're not gonna be going to every site. We're gonna be going to some sites. And so we will follow up with you on whether or not we're gonna be coming to your site. And that just is a resource and time. So we're doing this evaluation internally. So just the people in this room really are doing it with you. So it's a resource thing, and yeah, just resource and time kind of thing. So we're not quite at the site selection point yet for that, but we'll keep you posted if we are going to be coming to your site, and we'll give you ample time to be prepared and ready to receive us.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, definitely. Are there any other questions at this time?
Juliana, you
Yeah.
said that, hi, you said you'd be sending materials and so forth to the recipients.
Yeah. Mhm.
I was wondering, can I, get a copy of what you sent to
Oh
them?
yeah, we're gonna copy all the program specialists as well.
Oh,
Yep,
okay. Thank you.
absolutely. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Great. So I think that yeah, I think we could, because we have a little bit of time, we could take a minute now and show you all just a little bit like what we're looking at for the PPR. So you can just get a sense of what the form looks like, and then some of our questions. So give us just a minute to get ready to do that. But I want to take a minute also. I saw that Dane Lee is here, and I want to give Dane a second to introduce himself as well to the group. Sorry, Dane, I didn't know that you were going to join us
No
today.
problem.
Apologies. But I want to turn it over to you and give you a chance to say hello to
No,
the grant
not at all.
recipients.
No, I appreciate the invitation. I actually just came back from leave yesterday, so it was kind of a shocker seeing my calendar, and I was like, I definitely need to attend this. But hello everybody. First of all, Happy New Year's. So my name is Dane Lee. I'm actually the grants management specialist assigned to the EAH grant program. So I'm really looking forward to working with you all. So the program office and Office of Grants Management is similar and yet very different. The Office of Grants Management works strictly, mostly more on the financial reporting side, but we also will support you on the technical side for any post-award amendments that you may have with your grant. And I haven't talked specifically, I think, with Tom or Linda, but
Is Dane frozen for
is there a
everybody?
date?
Oh, hey Dane, you just
Can you still
froze
hear
for
me, Juliana?
you
Sorry.
froze for 1 second. Can you repeat
Okay.
that? You said you hadn't talked to Tom Linda yet about something.
Sure. So we're definitely planning on doing what we would call a new grantee orientation training. So it's kind of just a macro, I guess, look on what actually OGM will do. So the recipients can see clearly what exactly program office can assist on and what OGM will be doing. So there's not an actual date yet. However, I will look to see if we can do it for this month, maybe within the next 2 weeks. So just be on the lookout for that. And yeah, I'll work with Linda and Tom on that. Um, but yeah, other than that, looking forward to working with you all. And I'll just drop my contact information in chat if you do need to reach out to me for anything. Thank you again, Juliana.
Yeah, thanks, Dane. Appreciate you
Mhm.
coming to our
No
meeting.
problem. Thank you for the invitation.
Definitely. And that will be a great, everybody will be a good training. And it will be probably at our next meeting to have Dane, um, just show you the ropes of,
Sure. Yeah.
grant the world of grants management,
Mhm.
which is
That sounds good.
yeah, it's a different world for sure from the program office, but just equally important one.
Mhm.
So will be good for you
Thank
all
you.
to have that. Yeah. Oh my God, absolutely. Okay, so just give us 1 second here, and we can just show you very quickly. 1 second, the PPR and also our reporting expectations. So give me just 1 second, unless someone on my team has pulled this up already. Oh, wait, I think I have it. I'm good. Okay. So this is what the PPR looks like. So it's a PDF form. We have a fillable version. And let me know, can everybody see my screen? Yes. I can't
Yes,
see
we
you
can see.
all.
We can
Okay.
see.
Yes, we can see it. Mhm.
Great. Okay, so this is the form. It's fillable, so you'll be able to fill in, print in here and save. This is just some basic information about your grant. And then there is some guidance here about how to fill out each item. So it comes in like with built-in instructions, which will be helpful. And then there are sections for major activities and accomplishments, problems, significant findings and events, dissemination activities, other activities, and then activities planned for next reporting period. And again, there's more instructions down here. So it's a pretty simple form. And then we just have some additional questions that we're going to want you to include. And that will come in the form of a guidance document that you'll use to complete the PPR. And so let me also just grab that really quickly so you can sort of get a sense of where we are with that. And this is what you're going to be getting after this meeting. So you will have this all in hand. So it's really just one page that you of additional information. So let me just share this as well. So here we have just some quarterly PPR guidance around what a quarterly PPR is and how we use the quarterly PPR. Again, we have a schedule in here so that you can always know when your next PPR is due and what period it covers. And then this is the additional information that we're going to be asking for, and it tells you which section that you should put that. So these map onto the different sections in the OMB approved form. And so this is where you'll put this additional information. And it's only one page, essentially. And a lot of this information is just slightly refined from and slightly more specific from the OMB form to our program, but it should be a pretty light lift relatively. So, and that's it, just one page of additional guidance. So again, you'll get both of those things after this meeting. And just by show of hands, out of curiosity, how many of you have, because I'm not as familiar with how you do, I think you do your CSPG reporting in OLDC, is that right? Or you're submitting like the smart forms to your state office for your CSPG reports. Everybody's that's on camera is giving me a blank stare, so I'm feeling like maybe I'm not saying the right thing. But how many of you by raise of hands have submitted like a PPR in using Grant Solutions before? Okay, I'm seeing like 1 or 2 hands. Okay, cool. So this is a relatively new process to everyone. That's good to know. So those office hours will be then important if you need any additional guidance, but the tools that Grand Solutions has put forth, the videos and their step-by-step processes should be pretty intuitive. And again, just so you know, you don't actually fill anything out really in Grand Solutions. You just fill out that PDF outside Grand Solutions and then you upload it to Grand Solutions and sign. So it's not like you're going into Grand Solutions to like fill a bunch of things out. You are literally logging in to upload the PPR and hit submit. So sometimes people get confused about that. They're like, oh, I have to fill a bunch of stuff out in Grand Solutions. No, you really just upload the PDF. So yeah, okay, so that's what's to come though after this meeting. Any other questions? And if not, we will give you 23 minutes back of your time.
Hey, Juliana, this is Jared Bates with Chickasaw Nation.
Hey, Jared, how's it going?
Hey, on page 6 of that PPR, that quarterly data collection piece, what do we need to put in there?
Oh, Jared, so I think that is a hangover from another program that we are using the PPR form for. So that's not going to be relevant for this collection and for this program. So I will be sending out a revised version of the form that won't have that section. So you don't have to worry about that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking. Anybody else have any additional questions or and also any questions not related to evaluation? If there's other questions you have generally about the program, about how things are going, anything you need from us? Great. Well, wonderful, everyone. Thank you so much for your time and patience as we work to develop this plan. We're really excited to just get started and to really uplift and highlight the great work that you all are doing. We appreciate your partnership as always, and just look for some information from us following this meeting. And again, please don't be shy. If any questions do come up for you, please feel free to email us. You can include your program specialist, but then also please do include myself, Bronte, Jessica, Ben, and Regine, if you can remember all those names, and or at least some of us, so we can be looped in and ensure to address your evaluation questions. Okay, great. All right, everybody. Well, then, if there are no more questions, I will let